The Galactic Council chamber on Nexus Prime glowed with soft blue light from 1,000 floating orbs. Delegates from ancient species filled the curved seats in perfect rows. Tall Vexari, with shining skin, sat next to short, sturdy Korath, whose bodies sparkled like cut gems. Insectoid Joule clicked their mandibles in quiet talks, while smaller rim species watched from the back. At the center stood the high podium, where humans always spoke last. Ambassador Elena Vasquez walked to that podium with steady steps. She wore the plain gray uniform of Earth diplomats. No bright colors, no gold trim, just clean lines and the small blue planet patch on her shoulder. The chamber quieted as she placed her hands on the smooth rail. Speaker Thalarix rose high above the others. His many eyes blinked in sequence, while his long neck curved forward. He spoke through the universal translator with a deep, smooth voice. Today we vote on the Human Containment Accord. This measure protects the balance of power in our galaxy. Humanity grows too fast. Their colonies spread without regard for established zones. Their ships move faster each year. Their weapons become stronger each cycle. We must set limits for the common good. Thalarix turned one eye toward Vasquez. His other eyes stayed fixed on the voting panel. The Accord demands 3 things. First, humans share all new technology with the Council within 1 cycle. Second, humans cap new colonies at 5 per standard year. And third, the Council gains veto power over any human fleet larger than current size. These rules keep peace. They keep order. They keep the old ways safe. Delegates nodded. Some raised arms in approval. A few younger ones looked unsure, but stayed silent. Vasquez waited until the last echo died. She pressed a small button on the podium. A large hollow display rose behind her. It showed the blue-white image of Earth, turning slowly. She spoke in clear, calm words. The United Terran Concord has listened. We have listened for many years. We have followed most rules. We have traded fairly. We have helped when asked. We have never started wars. Yet the Council now asks for more. You ask for our secrets. You ask to stop our growth. You ask to control our defense. We say no. The chamber stirred. Low murmurs rose like wind through leaves. Vasquez kept her eyes forward. Her voice stayed even. Effective immediately, all diplomatic ties with the Galactic Council end. All treaties become void. All human personnel leave Council space in the next 72 standard hours. No ships will return for talks. No messages will come for replies. This decision is final. Silence fell heavy and thick. For 3 long breaths, nobody moved. The chamber broke into noise. Vexari voices rose sharp and bright. Korath crystals rang with angry tones. Joule mandibles snapped fast and loud. Thalarix tried to call order. His translator boomed over the chaos. This cannot stand. This is madness. Humans, you destroy the structure we built for millennia. Vasquez did not answer. She turned away from the podium. Her boots clicked on the polished floor. She walked toward the wide doors. They opened without a sound. 2 human guards in plain armor waited outside. They fell in step beside her. The doors closed behind the 3 figures. Inside the chamber, the shouts grew louder. Delegates stood and pointed. Some demanded immediate arrest. Others called for blockade plans. A young Vexari aide rushed to Thalarix's side. She whispered fast, "Sir, the human section of the station just went dark. Transmitting. Their docking clamps released." Thalarix turned his main eyes toward the great window. Far below, a sleek human courier ship pulled away from the ring. Its engines burned bright blue-white. No other species used that color for thrust anymore. The ship jumped in a flash and vanished. Thalarix felt something cold move through his core. He had seen many species rise and fall. Some begged for membership. Some fought and lost. None had ever walked away like this. None had ever said goodbye with such quiet finality. Across the station, human workers moved with calm speed. They packed data cores into black cases. They disconnected power lines with precise cuts. They left empty rooms exactly as found. No mess, no damage, just absence. One engineer looked at his Korath counterpart. He spoke through his mask. "We are done here. Take care of your own systems now." Blinked his inner lids. He could not find words. The human turned and joined the line, heading to the last shuttle. In the trade hall, a Joel merchant stared at the blank human booth. For years, humans sold rare metals and fast processors there. Now the lights were off. A single beacon blinked red. It broadcast one message in every language. Terran assets departing. No further interaction authorized. The Joel felt his antennae droop. His hive fleet used human code to plot safe jumps. Without updates, the risk would climb. Ships would vanish in the dark. Colonies would starve. He clicked a distress signal to his queen. The answer came quick. Find humans. Make them stay. But the humans were already gone. On the main concourse, Elena Vasquez boarded the final shuttle. She sat in the front row. The pilot sealed the hatch. Engines hummed low. The shuttle drifted. Through the viewport, she saw Nexus Prime turn slowly. Lights still shone in every window. Delegates still argued inside. None of them understood yet. They thought humans would come back. They thought this was a bluff. They thought anger would fade. Vasquez knew better. Earth had waited long enough. Patience had limits. Now the galaxy would learn what happened when humans stopped waiting. The shuttle jumped. Blue-white light swallowed it whole. Nexus Prime shrank to a distant point. Then nothing remained but stars and silence. Word count 1,200. Exactly. Across 100 different worlds, the change began at the same moment. Human embassies closed their heavy doors without warning. Lights inside went dark one by one. Flags with the blue planet came down, folded neat, and carried away. On the trade hub of Vexar Prime, the tall, shining Vexari guards watched confused. A human team in gray suits walked past them, pushing carts full of sealed boxes. No one spoke. The lead human, a woman with short black hair, stopped at the main gate. She turned to the Vexari captain. "We finish now," she said. "All our people leave." The captain blinked his inner lids fast. "But your contracts run for 10 more cycles." The woman shook her head once. Contracts ended. She walked through the gate. Behind her, the last human locked the door from outside. A small red beacon started blinking on the wall. It sent the same message over and over. Terran assets, departing. Further interaction authorized. The words appeared in Vexari script, Joule clicks Korath, light pulses, and every other tongue. Workers from other species gathered to stare. They had grown used to human voices, human deals, human quick fixes. Now the booth stood empty. Screens stayed black. No one came to answer questions. On the orbital ring above Korath home, the same scene played out. Human technicians in white suits moved through the giant crystal arrays. They pulled data plugs with careful hands. They shut down cooling fans one after another. A Korath engineer whose body glowed soft purple followed close. "Why do this?" he asked. "Your relays keep our whole network stable." A human man with gray streaks in his beard looked up. "We know," he said. "That is why we built them strong. Now you keep them running." He placed the last core in a black case, snapped it shut, and walked away. The Korath reached out one crystal hand. "Wait," he said. "We can talk terms." The human did not stop. 72 hours, he called back. "After that, we owe nothing." The Korath stood alone in the sudden quiet. His glow dimmed a little. He knew the truth already. Human rare earths fed the crystal growth vats. Without steady supply, the matrices would crack. New ships would fail. Old ones would lose power mid-jump. Shortages would start in weeks. Panic would follow soon after. Far out on the rim worlds, The insectoid Zool felt the first real fear. Their hive fleets depended on human navigation code. The heuristics came from Earth Labs years ago. The Zool queens had praised the gift. They called humans clever helpers. Now the updates stopped cold. A Zool drone ship drifted near a human relay beacon. The beacon broadcast nothing new, only the same departing message. The drones sent urgent signals. To the hive mind. Queens clicked in distress. Without fresh code, the jump paths grew risky. Ships might hit dark matter webs. Colonies might wait forever for supply runs. One queen sent orders to every swarm. Find humans. Offer anything. But the humans had vanished from every station. Courier ships, small, fast, and silent, carried the last diplomats away. They jumped in bright blue-white flashes. No farewells, no handshakes. On one such ship, Ambassador Elena Vasquez sat near the front. She watched the stars streak past the viewport. A young aide sat beside her. They really thought we would stay, she said. Vasquez nodded once. They always did. They saw our patience as weakness. They never saw the strength behind it. The aide looked down at her hands. What happens to the galaxy now? Vasquez kept her eyes on the stars. Alone. Or they fall apart. Either way, it no longer concerns us. The ship jumped again. Space folded around them. They left Council space behind forever. Back on Nexus Prime, the trade halls grew quiet. Merchants from a dozen species stood in lines at empty human counters. They wanted parts, they wanted fuel cells, they wanted medical kits. Nothing moved. A small automated voice repeated the message from hidden speakers. Terran assets departing. No further interaction authorized. One merchant, a feathered creature from the outer rim, threw his purchase list to the floor. This is ruin, he screeched. Humans controlled half the rare metal flow. They ran the best repair docks. They sold the cheapest good drives. Now nothing. A Vexari trader next to him touched his arm. Calm yourself. The council will force them back. The feathered one laughed bitter. Force them. How? Humans hold the hyperlanes in 3 arms. They built half the jump gates we use. If they close their borders, we starve slow. The Vexari said nothing more. He stared at the dark booth. For the first time, he felt small. Across the station in the council data core, human servers stood silent. Lights no longer blinked green. Cooling fads spun down to nothing. A Korath analyst ran his fingers over the empty racks. He pulled up old logs. Every line showed human code, human fixes, human improvements. The council had never asked how deep the humans went. They assumed the helpers would always help. Now the helpers walked away. The analyst sent a priority message to Speaker Thalarix. Sir, we lose core functions in days. Without human overrides, the network degrades. Thalarix read the words in his private chamber. His many eyes closed for a long moment. He had seen species come and go. None ever cut ties so clean, none ever left the old ones scrambling. He opened a secure line to his aides. Prepare projections, he ordered. Every sector, every trade route, every supply chain. Show me what happens when humans vanish. The aides worked fast. Numbers scrolled across hollow screens. Red lines dropped sharp. 12% contraction at best. Total collapse in fringe sectors at worst. Proxy wars long held in check flared bright again. Old rivals smelled blood. The council buffer vanished. And humans caused it all by doing nothing. Just leaving. On Earth, the first reports came in. Screens in the Concord Assembly showed live feeds. Empty docks, dark embassies, silent relays. Admiral Reyes stood with arms crossed. He watched the images without smile. They look surprised, he said. Director Vasquez, now back home and, wearing a new rank pin, nodded. They are. They thought we needed them more than they needed us. Reyes turned to her. Do we? Not anymore, she answered. We built our own paths, our own factories, our own fleets. We stayed polite for 78 years. Now we build for ourselves. Reyes looked back at the screens. Then, let them feel the quiet. The galaxy would learn soon enough. When humans stopped talking, when humans stopped trading, when humans stopped caring. The silence grew loud, and the old order started to crack. Word count, 1,200 exactly. The council reconvened in emergency session on Nexus Prime, the very next cycle. The great chamber looked the same, with its glowing orbs and curved seats. Yet everything felt different now. Delegates sat stiff and tense. Their usual calm confidence had cracked. Speaker Phalarix rose to his full height. His many eyes darted from one face to another. His translator voice came out sharper than before. We face a crisis unlike any in our long history. Humans have severed all ties. They refuse all contact. Their withdrawal leaves gaps we cannot ignore. We must act fast. He gestured to the central holotable. Bright data streams rose into the air. Red warning lines cut through every sector map. The insectoid Zool delegate clicked loud and fast. His mandibles snapped with anger. Sanctions now. Freeze their assets. Block their ships. Force them to return to the table. Came from the Korath benches. Their crystal bodies rang in protest. How do we enforce sanctions? The humans control key hyperlanes. Their gates lock if they choose. Our fleets cannot reach half our own worlds without their paths. A Vexari elder lifted one shining arm. His voice stayed smooth, but strain showed through. We propose a united blockade around Sol. Surround their home system. Cut them off. Show strength. Quiet laughter came from a young Rim species observer. He spoke before anyone could stop him. Blockade Sol. With what fleet? Humans hold 40% of the stable jump routes in the Orion Arm. They built most of the relay stations we use every day. If they shut one chain, the whole network stumbles. The chamber fell quiet again. Phalarix turned his main eyes to the projections. Numbers kept falling. Trade volume down 15% already, tripled in hours. Crystal Matrix production halted on 3 worlds. Hive fleet navigation errors reported in 5 sectors. Proxy conflicts flared on the borders. Old enemies tested each other without council mediators. The buffer humans provided for so long had vanished. A small feathered delegate from the outer rim stood up. His voice trembled a little. We younger species always looked to humans for fair deals. They never asked for tribute. They traded straight. Now they are gone. Our markets crash. Our people go hungry. Who pays for that? The Jewel Queen representative clicked sharp. Humans pay. They caused this. They must fix it. The Korath crystals dimmed in frustration. They caused nothing. They left because we pushed too hard. We demanded their secrets. We capped their growth. We treated them like children. Now the children walk away. How much we leaned on them. Phalarix raised both primary arms for silence. Enough blame? We need solutions. He pointed to the analysts in the lower pit. Show the worst case. A thin Vexari female stepped forward. She touched the holotable. New layers appeared. Dark zones spread across the map like ink. Fringe colonies lose contact in weeks. Core worlds face shortages in months. Full systemic collapse possible in 2 standard years. Without human code updates. Without human parts. Without human mediation. The silence grew heavy. Delegates stared at the spreading dark. For the first time in millennia, the Galactic Council looked small, fragile, old. A young jewel drone raised one claw. What if they never come back? The question hung in the air. No one answered right away. Phalarix felt his core tighten. He had lived through wars, plagues, disasters. None scared him like this quiet absence. He spoke low. Send envoys through neutral channels. Offer concessions. Promise review of the containment accord. Even draft an apology if needed. The Vexari elders murmured surprise. Apology from the council? to newcomers. Yet no one argued. Desperation had taken root. Messengers left Nexus Prime that very hour. Small diplomatic drones slipped through side lanes. They carried sealed offers. They broadcast polite requests. Every message vanished into the void. No reply came back. Not one word. Days turned to weeks. The red lines on the holotable grew longer. Markets tried to adapt. They failed. Alien shipyards slowed. Factories idled. Workers stood in lines for basic supplies, once taken for granted. In the observer galleries, younger species watched wide-eyed. Scramble. They saw fear in ancient faces. One small biped from a new member world whispered to his neighbor, "They never needed us. We needed them." The neighbor nodded slow, and now we pay for forgetting that. In the private chambers, Thalaric sat alone. He stared at an old holo record. It showed Ambassador Vasquez walking out of the chamber. Her steps calm, her face without anger, just certain. He replayed the moment again and again. He searched for some sign of bluff, some crack in the resolve. He found none. The humans had prepared for this. They had planned every detail. They had waited decades to use that plan. Thalaric closed his eyes. For the first time he admitted the truth inside his own mind. The council had grown fat on stability. They had forgotten what real independence looked like. Humans had not. They built their own future while smiling at the old rules. Now they followed their own path and left the galaxy to face the mirror. In the main chamber, the debates continued. Voices rose and fell. Plans formed and broke. Yet every discussion circled back to the same point. Humans held the power now, not through weapons, not through threats, through absence, through silence, through the simple act of walking away. And that power terrified them most of all, because no fleet could fight it, no treaty could mend it, no bribe could buy it back. The old order shook, and the cracks spread wider every day. Word count 1,200 exactly. On Earth, the reinforced halls of the Concord Assembly stood quiet and bright under artificial suns. Leaders from every continent gathered in the main chamber. They wore plain clothes without rank marks. Admiral Reyes stood at the head table with maps and data screens around him. Director Elena Vasquez, now wearing the silver pin of senior advisor, sat close by. She reviewed fleet positions while others listened. The mood felt calm and focused. No cheers, no anger, just steady work. Reyes pointed to a live feed from the outer rim, empty docking rings where council ships once waited. "They look lost," he said. Vasquez nodded. "They are. 78 years of careful play gave us this moment. We traded fair, we shared just enough. We never pushed for more than they offered. They saw us as newcomers who needed guidance. They never saw how much we learned while smiling." Forward. His voice came low. Economic dip hits 4 to 6% short term. Our people feel it in prices and jobs. But factories already shift to full independent lines. New trade routes open with rim species. Younger ones who never liked council rules. We gain more than we lose. Vasquez touched her screen. Projections update every hour. Core worlds suffer worse. Their shortages grow fast. Our colonies expand steady. ARC ships launch on schedule. No delays. A civilian leader from the Pacific region spoke next. Our message stays clear. We do not hate them. We do not fight them. We simply stop needing them. That hurts more than any weapon. Reyes allowed a small smile. They thought diplomacy meant we feared them. They never understood it meant we waited. Patience builds strength when others grow soft. Vasquez pulled up an old report. Line from her own words, months ago. They never understood we were never begging to stay. We were giving them a chance to behave. The room stayed silent for a moment. Everyone knew the weight of those words. Now the chance had ended. Earth turned toward its own future. Shipyards that once built joint patrol craft glowed with new activity. Massive frames rose in orbital docks. Pure Terran designs. Thicker armor. Faster drives. Weapons tuned for unknown threats. No council approval needed. Crew rosters filled fast. Young pilots trained in simulators that ran 24 hours. Engineers tested new alloys in vacuum chambers. Scientists pushed fusion cores past old limits. Every step moved faster without oversight. A young engineer entered the chamber. She carried a small data pad. "Sir, the first independent jump gate test succeeded. Range doubled. Stability perfect. No foreign code required." Reyes took the pad. He studied the numbers. "Good work. Launch the next batch next week." The engineer left with quick steps. Vasquez looked at the admiral. "They will try to reach us soon. Apologies. Offers. Threats maybe." Reyes shook his head. "We listen if messages come. We answer none. Silence teaches best." A security officer stepped in. "Report from neutral channels. Council sent 3 drone envoys yesterday. All carried formal regret letters. One included full repeal of the Containment Accord. Another promised permanent seats for humans. The third just asked why. No reply sent." Vasquez folded her hands. "They still do not see. This is not negotiation. This is conclusion. We outgrew their table. Now we build our own." Outside the hall, through wide windows, Earth spun blue and green. Cities glowed bright, stretched wide under controlled skies. New orbital rings took shape. Colony ships gathered in high orbit. Each one carried thousands. Seeds, machines, knowledge. Destinations marked unclaimed sectors. Places the Council called preserved wilderness. Humans called opportunity. One screen showed live feed from a new colony world. Prefabs rose in hours. Solar fields unrolled like silver carpets. Children ran on fresh soil, laughing without fear. No quotas, no vetoes, just work and future. Back in the chamber, Reyes stood. "We meet again in 1 week. Track every shift. Adjust as needed. But remember one thing. We do not look back. The galaxy changes without us. Let it." People filed out slow and purposeful. Vasquez stayed a moment longer. She looked at the blank spot where Council hollow links once connected. No more green lights. Calls. Just quiet. She felt no joy, only certainty. Earth had carried the weight long enough, shared enough, waited enough. Now the burden belonged to others. She walked to the window. Stars filled the black beyond. Somewhere out there, new human ships moved silent and sure. They carried no flags for old alliances, only the blue planet mark and the promise of more. Much more. In the weeks that followed, reports kept coming. Rin species sent private feelers. They offered trade deals. No middlemen, straight lines to Earth. Some asked for protection. Others asked for knowledge. Humans answered a few. Small exchanges. Careful steps. Enough to build trust. Not enough to tie hands. The old council watched from far away. Their screens showed growing human borders. New stars, under new flags. Independent, strong. Ignoring the center. Thalarix and the others felt the slow shift. Power no longer sat in Nexus Prime. It spread outward. Quiet, patient, human. And in that spread, the galaxy began to understand. Walking away had not weakened humanity. It had set them free. Word count 1,200 exactly. Months passed after the final human ship vanished from Council space. No Terran vessel crossed back into monitored zones. No messages arrived through any channel. The hyperlanes grew strangely quiet without the familiar blue-white flashes of human freighters. Trade stations that once bustled with mixed crews now echoed with empty corridors. Alien merchants waited at blank counters, hoping for sudden returns. Hope faded slow and painful. On Nexus Prime, the council chamber met every cycle. Delegates arrived earlier each time. Their faces showed deeper lines. Their voices carried less certainty. Speaker Thalaric stood at the podium less often now. He preferred to listen while younger aides spoke the grim updates. Projections no longer showed simple dips. They showed cascading failures. Core systems lost redundancy. Fringe colonies reported blackouts. Hive fleets drifted off course more each cycle. Weak. Crystal vats cracked without replacement elements. The old guard tried new plans. They formed emergency trade pacts among themselves. They rerouted what remained of the jump networks. They rationed rare materials like wartime supplies. Every fix bought days, not years. In quiet moments, Thalaric walked the empty human sections alone. He touched the cold metal walls where data cores once hummed. He read the single remaining message carved into a panel. Terran assets departing. No further interaction authorized. The words stayed sharp and final. He wondered how they had missed the signs for so long. Humans had never begged for favor. They offered help because it suited them. When it no longer suited, they stopped. Simple as that, and devastating. Then the first true shock arrived without warning. Scout probes returned from the unclaimed sectors beyond the Perseus Arm. Showed new lights where none belonged. Massive arc ships hung in orbit around fresh worlds. Prefabricated cities rose on plains that the Council had marked forever wild. Factories poured smoke into thin skies. Solar arrays stretched wide like silver lakes. Human colony flags flew high. The blue planet mark stood clear against alien horizons. Thalaric called an urgent session. He displayed the probe feeds for all to see. Delegates stared in stunned silence. The new human territory already covered more systems than half the old Council core. Growth rates matched the fastest expansions in recorded history. No pleas for recognition, no requests for membership. Just steady building. Independent, unasked. A young Vexari analyst spoke first. They used designs we never approved, drives we never tested, weapons we never catalogued. They leapfrogged our oversight entirely. Dimmed his glow. They always could, we just never let them. The Joule representative clicked slow. Our queens ask again, should we send another envoy? Offer alliance? Thalaric shook his head. They will not answer. They have no need. In the observer galleries, rim species whispered among themselves. Some smiled for the first time in months. They saw opportunity where the old ones saw loss. A small delegation from a newly contacted world approached a council aide later. They spoke low. We wish to trade with the humans directly. No middle path. The aide hesitated. We no longer speak for them. The Rim delegate nodded. Then we will find our own way. More followed. Young species turned outward. They sent signals toward the new human zones. Some received polite replies. Small trade agreements formed. Knowledge exchanged in careful packets. Helpless. Their authority shrank with each new link that bypassed Nexus Prime. Thalaric sat in his private chamber one quiet night. He pulled up the oldest records. Images of the first human delegation. Small awkward figures in plain suits. They had smiled then. They had listened to long speeches about order and balance. They had agreed to most terms, always with quiet questions, always learning. Now those same figures built empires beyond the maps. Thalaric felt no anger left, only a deep, weary understanding. The galaxy had changed, not through war, not through force, through absence, through the terrifying choice to walk away and thrive anyway. He opened a secure channel. He recorded one last message, no pleas this time, just simple words, to the United Terran Concord. We see what you have built. We acknowledge your path. We wish you well in the dark. Between stars. He sent it toward the new borders. It would likely vanish unanswered. But he sent it anyway. A small gesture from an old order to a new one. On a distant colony world, children played under twin suns. They ran through streets, still smelling of fresh metal and soil. Adults worked in open fields. Ships lifted from new pads every day. Scouts pushed farther out. No quotas held them. No vetoes slowed them. Only curiosity and will. In the void, a lone Terran scout ship drifted near an unmarked star. Its captain looked at the forward screen. A faint signal blinked. An old council frequency. She listened to the message. She smiled small. Then she logged it without reply. The ship turned toward deeper black. Engines flared blue-white. It jumped away. Behind it, the galaxy kept turning. Old powers faded slow. New ones rose steady. And humanity moved. Forward. Ignoring the past. Building the future. One quiet step at a time. Word count 1,200, exactly.